Hello, happy World Fringe Day.
Happy World Fringe Day.
Happy World Fringe Day to you too.
Why don't you introduce yourself and what Fringe Festival you're from?
Okay, so my name is Lelia Greci and I'm talking to you from Wandsworth Arts Fringe, which is in London.
And I'm from Wandsworth Arts Fringe too, and World Fringe.
Hello, Kath. I wasn't sure whether I was allowed to say, but Kath is our wonderful producer.
That's me over here.
And so tell us about Wandsworth Arts Fringe. How many shows and things do you have, and when is it?
So Wandsworth Arts Fringe is an open access festival, like most fringes. It takes place in the first 2 weeks of May. It takes place all over the borough, so it's really wide territory that covers pretty much the whole of South London. And every year we have about 150 shows. I think there was a peak year where we had up to 180 shows. About over 20,000 people engage with the festival every year. It's quite a mixed fringe because it covers all art forms, but also there's a really good mixture of free events and ticketed events. But most events are, even when they are ticketed, they'll be under a tenner anyway. So it's really affordable for a city like London.
Yeah, quite. And it's in Wandsworth, which is a huge borough of London. How broad apart are your venues, and which venues do you use?
So we use a range of venues. I think we have about 60 venues, between 40 and 60 venues, depending on the years. Cass, feel free to interrupt if...
Yeah, over 60 this year. So, yeah, all around the borough. So we've got... we have shows in like the Arches under Putney Bridge, St Mary's Church, around there is one of our big hub venues. We try to, because it is such a sprawling borough, we try to make some hubs as much as possible. So there's sort of like critical mass of programming in certain venues around the borough. So we've got that one, and then we've got one of the Cats back in Wandsworth Town, and then we have Tara do a programme of women's work that is part of the festival as well.
That's in Earlsfield.
Then we've got Balham Bowls Club in Balham. And Battersea Arts Centre put a couple of shows in.
There was Fresh Ground on Battersea Rise, where there was a lot of dance this year. And there's no main venue in Tooting, but this year we had lots of we had poetry residencies in barbers and hairdressers, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. But if you have the borough is really, really wide, so you have Putney on one side and 9 Elms on the other side, and it takes about an hour to go from the east to the west. Wow. And then at the far south you'd have Tooting and Fursdown, and again it would take about an hour by public transport to go from the far south Tooting to Putney or to 9 Elms, with Balham, Clapham, Battersea being quite central and Earlsfield being quite central. So it's really a huge area to cover, and that's one of the main challenges of the WAF.
Yeah, so hubs are really important then, because each area will have its own audience, presumably.
Yeah, hubs are really important. We also do as much sort of like high street programming, high street work as we can. So popping up, we've got our WAF on Wheels showcase. So we have a big red van that goes to different town centres around the borough on the first two weekends. The Errant Stage. And so we tried to have as much high street visibility, and we did a lot of billboarding this year, because otherwise it's very difficult to get the sense in the borough that there is a festival going on that belongs to everybody in the borough, rather than activity happening here and there. So.
Yeah, a lot of audiences will have identified with some events, so we'll try and animate new places every year, but there are a few that we try and animate every year to try and create, lasting footprint. So some audiences will identify with an event in a certain area, but they don't always realize that it's part of something much bigger.
Yeah, quite. Well, that sounds amazing. And so in terms of kind of I mean, it's World Fringe Day, so we're celebrating 250 plus fringes across the world, all connecting
Wow.
and celebrating on the same day. Do you have an international element, or do you connect with other fringes around the world?
I think we would really love to, especially because we're in London, which is, you know, quite a desirable place to come to for a lot of artists. So I think this kind of allows, we've had quite a lot of interest from artists to come from other international fringes. We don't have any formalized partnership with any other fringes, partly because of funding restrictions, that there's no
we had Gothenburg, we had an exchange. Fragility did an exchange. So
that exactly. We have some producers.
We have some producers who produce.
So talk to us about what Fragility does, because they're one of our main independent producers who are Fragility, and they're a really important part of the Wandsworth Arts Fringe. And they have some formalized relationships with other fringes. Are you able to talk to us about this, Kath?
Yeah, so we haven't had an exchange, not this year, but the year before, with Gothenburg. So we swapped an artist there, and we've got quite a good relationship with the Nordic network as well. So it's more through Fragility and through our producer programs rather than through the festivals, because of the way that we're structured, and we provide services for the council. So it tends to be our more independent producers that will make
and the Air and Stage is also supported by the Finnish Institute to bring over some Finnish spoken artists. So they've done this for 2 years, and it's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so in terms of accessibility of your festival, do you have any initiatives to ensure, or what are you doing to ensure that Wandsworth Arts Fringe is accessible to artists and audiences?
So we've done a lot over the past couple of years to become more accessible. So like you said, we've taken it on both fronts, both on the artist front and on the audience front. So in terms of the artists, we've become an ally of Unlimited, which is an organization supporting disabled artists. So I'm in conversations with them, and we try to disseminate their opportunities, and we try to liaise with the artists at the commissioning stage. We also made sure that we were making our application process accessible. So we're revising it, reviewing it every year from the artist feedback. It all started from some feedback from Extant, who are a theatre company by and for blind and visually impaired people. And they said, more communication would have been great. So this started a really intense work on accessibility to make sure that we communicate better on how accessible our venues are. It's also about encouraging our artists to offer touch tools, BSL interpretation, audio description, captioning, including some integrating captioning in their work, especially, for instance, for musicians when they have some visuals behind them. And also telling disabled artists that they are welcome, and that we will really do our utmost to welcome them. And the message is starting to be really successful, isn't it, Kath? We've had a really large increase in take up by disabled artists. We had the wonderful Drag Syndrome this year. Anonymous. The wonderful Caroline Moore. We've had a really large proportion of disabled artists this year, and we're hoping that by showcasing disabled artists, disabled audiences will realize that they are also welcome, and that we can offer BSL interpretation, audio description, captioning, relaxed places for people to chill out if the event gets a bit too much. So the some publications are starting to pick it up, like Disability Arts Online, who have come
Yeah.
to review quite a bit of work. So it's really important to us. I'm sorry, I could waffle about this for ages because I'm so passionate.
Yeah, I think our accessibility reaches throughout our program in terms of reaching out to like harder to reach audiences, harder to reach artists, really trying to do the work, doing a lot of community engagement and some pre-engagement to try and, you know, encourage more audiences from different cultural backgrounds and economic backgrounds. So I think that kind of works our way, you know, throughout the whole strand of our festival. Accessibility is really built in.
One of the things that we really love doing is actually to go to where people live, to the heart of the communities. So every year we have some projects going onto the housing estates where people live, so that instead of assuming that they will come to us, you know, we'll go to people, you know, at the heart of the living centres of exactly where they live. And we really enjoy doing this, and artists actually really enjoy doing this because they get a wonderful response.
Yeah. Oh, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for telling us all about Wandsworth Arts Fringe. It's been fantastic having you here. And what incredible initiatives you guys are doing. That's awesome. So happy World Fringe Day, Lelia, and we shall definitely speak to you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you ever so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.